Alright, what's going on, you guys? I have not done a video in a minute. I have not done a video about God in a minute. I know I've uploaded one to the channel before, but I just knew I had to make a new video today. Before I get into the story, I just want to tell you all that me personally, I feel like I'm not super close to God at the moment right now. Obviously, I'll have my moments where I'm drifted away. Obviously, I'll have my moments where, I'm locked in, going to church and everything. But, my Bible has dust on it. I have not been to church on Sundays with my dad in a minute. I just try to be a good person with good morals, and I pray. Okay, just before I start the story. Okay, so all right, y'all lock in because this is a good story, right? And I knew I just wanted to make a video because I feel like I really am a good storyteller. I have another separate YouTube channel where I made a whole bunch of videos. When I was younger, I used to make these comic books, and like at work, I just love hearing all the work drama because I'm a fucking drama queen and I fucking love interesting stories, so I love telling them too. All right, so that's why I'm here. Okay, so I have been struggling lately because as of about almost a month ago, I broke up with you know one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life is what I would say. Even though, even if I think she treated me wrong, I still think she was absolutely amazing person, right? So about a month ago, I broke up with my first long-term relationship of 9 months. And obviously I'm not gonna go into names or anything or any deeper reasons, obviously for personal boundaries and everything. But I essentially broke up with her just right before we hit 9 months because over time, you know, over time, we would try to just solve between arguments and stuff like that. But it felt like it never really clicked whenever we would argue. Um, there would be times where we would argue. It should be high, full of emotions, while I'm over here being trying my best to be cool, calm, collected, and everything. But it would just never work out because that's how we would argue. So, arguments never met the light of day. They eventually kept getting worse and worse and worse. And eventually, over time, I would just ignore the arguments. Be like, an argument's an argument, right? Until over time, when you feel like you start seeing that person as, when it keeps repeating over and over again, I started seeing this person differently, and I started to love a side of her. I started to not love a side of her. I didn't love this side whenever we would dislike. And I know she's not an aggressive person. I know her heart, but it's like when we would argue, and obviously she's changed a lot before and stuff like that. So glad I had a person that would change, but sorry if I get off track, but we would argue. I would always say like, "Why are you raising your voice? Why are you raising your pitch?" And it's not like because in arguments I try to prevent the argument from happening, right? So I try to be cool, calm, collected, and control my emotions. But I feel like whenever we would argue, I feel like she wasn't the greatest at controlling her emotions. So that is eventually why we broke up is because of this super long message that I wrote one night after we had a 3-day break of me just basically saying how like over time our arguments have been like the same thing. And like I've been just saying over and over and over again how like I would wish for this to happen, but I feel like we're not going anywhere if like I just feel like you're easily getting upset with me and I feel like you're just just raising your pitch at me and all this stuff. This stuff I would not tolerate in an argument, right? So over time, it just got to a point where it was digging into my feelings for her, right? And like, so right before we took this 3 day break, we went to the gym, and I had no energy to want to be with her. She could fucking tell. She was getting aggravated because she was asking me if I want to hang out with some friends. I kept saying I don't know because I didn't know anything. I didn't want to hang out with anybody. I didn't even want to hang out with her, man. Because that side of her grew so strong that it started taking over my like perception of her, right? So like, and I still didn't want to break up at the same time because I was still love a side of her. So it was just like I really didn't know what to do. So that's why we took the 3 day break, right? But on the third day, I came up with this long message as to why I wanted to break up. I'm not gonna go into super great detail. I might just pull it up real quick. Oh, even looking at this fucking sucks, man. Because I still haven't blocked her, but she blocked me. I feel I tend to be more calm in situations where I feel like you most of the time can be full of emotions and act on them. I'm not saying I ever didn't raise my voice, but I feel like every argument's climax is where you are raising your voice, cursing, and crying. Blah 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 blah. The difference with us would pin on me and easily upset at me. Okay. Yo, this message is so long. Yeah, and so I would basically say all I know is that to me, I feel like I can handle my emotions and not show those emotions, so I cannot hurt you or make you feel anything different. Over time, again, to lose more and more patience, and it felt like you were just talking to some guy on the street, not talking to someone you love. Was basically what I was saying in there whenever we get into arguments. Because obviously in relationships, there's ways you can handle arguments and ways to work around the arguments, but just sadly for us, that began to not be the case. So, not to be completely so serious about the topic, but anyways, so I was originally gonna tell this text message in person, but we ended up just calling, and obviously this was like one of the most hardest decisions I've had to make in my life. I was on call, which whenever she called, it was like I could already tell she was aggravated. Whenever she called, she was kind of like, "What? Like what?" Like I think she already knew what the outcome was, but I was shaking and I was crying in the background when she couldn't even hear me. And she was just like genuinely asking me to tell her like, "Are you wanting to break up with me?" I eventually just sent the whole text message right while I'm shaking and crying and shit uncontrollably. Like she's like full of emotions, being like, basically the climax of what she was saying was like, after all we've done, after all we've like done, like this is what you do to me. And she was like, "Good luck trying to find another girl that loved you as much as I did." And it's something like "F you, bro," like straight F word, "F you, bro." And then like that, she just hung up abruptly. And ever since that phone call, it has been hurting me a lot. I'm not gonna lie. She instantly blocked me on every social media, including Instagram, text messages. I wasn't even gonna do that. I was not even gonna do all that. I just think she was kind of maybe used to breaking up in the past in a toxic way. So I feel like that might have came out um a little bit. Which I don't blame her. All her feelings are valid. I just stood there and kind of took it like kind of. I just took it in. I soaked it in, right? So what really hurt me about that call was her saying, "Good luck trying to find another girl like that loved you as much as I did." Because I mean, that was my first long-term relationship. That's kind of fucked up to say. That was the first long-term relationship I've ever had. That's the most love I've ever felt. So after 9 months and after me shaking and crying on the call to hear that shit, it was detrimental, bro. Like just to hear that shit, man. I mean, I really believed it from the call. Like I'm never gonna find anybody else. To this day, it's like I look at people and I'm like, I'm still attracted to her because I still love a side of her. So it's like, in a way, I still feel like she's kind of mine. It's just like I'm not attracted to people yet because when you truly love someone, you don't want anybody else. So I mean, like it's just like so. I end up healing kind of okay. I actually kind of liked being single for a little bit because we used to spend every day together. So it was like I kind of got to do stuff I was missing out on a little bit. Kind of keep my mind away by just hanging out with friends and stuff. Um, but I would keep having dreams, right? And this is where God came into play. I kept having dreams over and over again, just totally normal, right? Especially if you're going in a situation I was going through. I kept having dreams in general. But there were two occurrences where she was in my dreams. And one of those dreams, I remember, because it felt so real. In the dream, I remember I was walking in to what was our favorite place whenever we would date to go out to eat. I was walking in. The first thing I saw was her and her friend sitting down eating. And in the dream, I didn't know what to do. I was freaking out, and the dream ended right there. This is real. This happened. Guys, a few days later, so all these dreams hit me, right? And like, obviously, it's like throughout the day, I'm fine. But at night when I have these dreams, in my dreams, it's so fucked up, man. In my dreams, it's like I'm hanging out with her family. I'm seeing her dad. It's like as if everything's back to normal. My brain still thinks in the dreams that I'm back with her and everything's fine and normal because that's what I'm used to. This shit's so sad, bro. Like, I would just see her dad, and in my dream, I'd be like, wait, why is her dad here? And then poof, back into reality, bro. In my dreams, I was still picture I'm with her. But guys, I kid you not, like 3 days later. 3 days later, guys, it's like 6 o'clock p.m. and I'm going out to eat with my family. And we go to this restaurant, the same restaurant that me and my ex used to go to. And I walk in. True story, by the way. I walk in. The first thing I see is her, but not with her friend, with a guy on a date. Guys, obviously, I don't want to get into much detail about this. I honestly respected the date. I didn't have anything bad towards the guy or anything. I was just struck at how this could be real. I was the first one that walked in. My parents were behind me. I froze, and I was like shaking a little bit. I was like full of it. Like when you're full of adrenaline, your body kind of like twitches. I was like twitching, bro. I did not know this shit was real. I was like twitching, bro. So I'm like, my parents walk in and they're like, "Is that?" Like they looked at each other and they're like, "Is that?" And my dad's like, "Fuck," because he knows like he sees it too. So I'm like trying to lock in, order my food, and I can hear him talking in the background. I think like the guy might have been like a coworker or something. I don't know. But so my dad's like, "Do you want to leave?" I'm like, "No, let's just go eat outside." So we go eat outside, and the whole time, this is supposed to be my mom's birthday dinner, by the way. The whole time outside, my family's talking. I'm just sitting there, and I'm just kind of like looking off his face like this, just thinking, and bro, my foot's tapping like the entire time, and I'm just like that because I'm in a stage where I'm like, "How is this real? I had a dream about this. How is this real?" And it first started hitting me where I saw it for the first time in like a month since I broke up with her. So it was like I started missing her a lot too, and it's just like all this shit kept going into my head. You know, my parents were trying to convince me like that like what I did was right and that she wasn't for me, but in the moment that was just not hitting. I wanted her so bad in that moment, man. Still low key want her right now, but um yeah. So from that day forward, the next day at work, I was outside moving carts for people to use to shop. And the entire day, I was just thinking about the day before, right? Later that day, I was like, tell my friends everything. But while I was working the whole day, I was just thinking, man. I was like, fuck. I like actually miss her now. I cannot believe that shit happened. I was getting so overwhelmed with feelings, man. I started missing her more than ever, man. I was crying at work. Whenever I had my chance to go outside and do the carts, I would just go outside and cry. And like, I would come back in, talk to my coworker, because my coworker knows a little bit. And I was telling him, I was like, man, obviously I told him briefly before I broke up with her, but I was like, dude, I think I want to get back together with her. And he was telling me, he was like, dude, no. He's like, what he meant was that I need to stay true to my values. He was like, no, you should stand on what you believed on. What I believed on is that what I think she did was wrong, and just not something that I agreed that a person that I want to be with should be doing. Being, not not preserving the arguments as much and everything, and really just because of the fact that it really wasn't clicking. I'm not gonna say I'm a perfect person because I fucked up in this relationship so much too. I've lusted, definitely caused a lot of arguments, and I've been a smart ass. So 100% for sure. But yeah, that's actually something that didn't sit right with me with her. But I still love her as a person too. Fuck yeah, I still love her as a person, man. But I was telling my friend that. He was like, nah, man, you can't do that. So I go on carts again outside for a second time. I'm just thinking, right? And then I started thinking, I'm like, wait, I remember that she works on the weekends till closing at this one place. I was like, I need to just get, like, I just need to get the thought out there to her that I miss her. I need for her to know. In case if she wants to text or something. So in my head, I'm thinking, this is what I said. Tutorial to how to stand on business, by the way, is what I'm about to say. What I said in my head was, fuck what everybody else thinks. I'm going to get the thought out there. That's what I said. Tutorial how to fucking lock in right there. I said, fuck what everybody else thinks in my head. And I took that shit and ran with it. As soon as my shift was over, I clocked out. I went home. My parents thought I was healing okay, man, but I stormed in and I was bawling. My parents were freaking out and everything. And I told them, I said, I'm about to make a decision I might regret, but I'm going to surprise her at work. And my mom and my dad spammed me with messages being like, you're going to regret this. She's going to walk over you. You're this, that, this, that. And I just fucking didn't read all of that. Wanna know why? Because I loved her and I didn't really give a fuck what other people think. Although I would take what other people think into consideration and maybe change my thoughts, I truly, even when my parents would talk about her, not agree on a lot of things because they didn't know her like I did. I said they were trying to text me the entire time, being like this, that, this, that. I'm just saying, fuck what everybody else thinks. I'm gonna do it. I'll call my friend. I'm gonna do what I do. He's like, dude, I can't tell anything on how to. I can't tell you anything what to do. Just go and act on those emotions, man. Do what you need to do, is what he said. So I sped my car. I raced to get there. And by the time I got there, it was like 5 p.m. or no, 6 p.m. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, technically, if she's working like 2 to 10, something like that, and she normally has an hour break. It was like 6:30 by the time I got there. I was like, because I didn't see her there. I was like, all right, I'll just wait 30 minutes to see if she comes out of her break. So I'm like in the dining area. I'm just waiting. 30 minutes go by. I like go grab ice cream and get in line, and she wasn't there. She normally works only weekends till closing. So like when I didn't see that, I was like, okay. So I just put the ice cream back in, left. But I was like, nah, I still gotta get the thought out there. So what I did was I went to Instagram and I texted her friend. I was like, hey, this is Dylan. Um, please just let so and so know that I miss her. Thank you. And she read it immediately on Instagram. And it was, but I was going to my friend's house. So by the time I got to my friend's house, that's when I checked and it said like seen 23 minutes ago. but she told me she probably told her. So when I'm at my friend's house and we're just like vibing, I was actually thinking about making a song about the whole situation just because I wanted to get into music and like I don't know, just kind of get my feelings out there. Besides this, make a song. I look again and I see that her friend blocked me. It went from saying the friend's name in my contact to just Instagram user, which that's when they blocked you. So I just took that in my head as like she told my ex, and my ex told her to block me. So I was like, okay, that's kind of like the end of that. So I kind of just took it as like the end of that, especially because she was with some guy, you know, the place they eat at. So I was like, okay, she probably moved on. So the whole night I was pretty much just chilling with my friend, just pretty much vibing. I'm making music, come back to my house, sleep over and shit. It's the whole vibe. Next day, I wake up. I have work later in the day, right? The whole day is going by pretty much fine. Everything's okay. I'm just accepting the fact that like I am gonna find somebody else, right? And I'm doing my average work. Um, but like almost to like where there's like an hour left of my shift, I was told to put on self checkout. So I start going over there by self checkout. Helping people out with the self checkout stations. Helping them with certain items. And again, this is where God plays into this whole story, guys. I'll explain in a little bit. I just want to get this all out first. This guy comes up to me, and goes after he's done checking out. I think he only bought like 2 coffee creams or something like that. He comes up to me, and goes, he sees my name tag. He goes, he's like, "Hey Dylan, how old are you?" So I told him my age. He's like, "You ever had a girlfriend?" And I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I just broke up with my ex of 9 months, like early this month." And we start having this 30-minute conversation, just really deep with both of us. We were getting along. I forgot his name, but yeah, I just remember some of the stories he told me. He told me that recently he was an ex police officer. Okay. Recently he told me he was at a bar with a friend, and his girl was there. And he ended up finding out, I think, that his girl went to this guy's house, or that the guy went to his girl's house, right? So he broke in and he saw his girlfriend. Actually, no, guys, wasn't even a girlfriend. He was married. He saw his wife cheating with this guy. So he broke in and saw this. Mind you, I think he's married this girl for 5 years, and they had a ring and everything, and he saw that. So yeah, that happened. Hopefully, I have the story right. And he was telling me, he was like, yeah, one day she just came up to me, she put the ring on the table, and said I was done. You know? So, gosh, I really hope I have this story right. So we're talking, and all this information sent me out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, I kind of need to hear this story. Because I was telling him, I was like, I had similar family relatives that went through the same thing. I was like, yeah, like my dad, like he was married to his girl for a while, found out that she was cheating on him, had to start all over again. He was like, wow, like we were really, 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 really getting along. So he was just telling me all these life lessons. He was like, he told me this other story. He was like, yeah, man, people can really switch up on you at any minute, anytime. He was like, he's like, my own mom snitched on me before, and he was like, this friend of mine I used to run from cops, and this friend of his, one time they got in a car accident, but like right before they crashed, he said that he moved the car to a way that it wouldn't hurt his friend in the passenger seat. But then later on, that friend ended up snitching on him about something to the cops, and I think I think that friend snitched on him for when he broke into the house to find his girl cheating. So I think he went to jail for a little bit and got fired. But he was telling me all this. He was telling me, he was basically implying that, like, as a man, it really is just you out there in the world, and that people can switch up, and it's really just you out here in the world, and you need to have a backup plan for yourself, not a side hoe, but like what you're gonna do if shit fucks up. Meaning, like, are you still gonna be mentally stable? How are you gonna still be mentally stable if some shit goes fucked up? So I'm pulling up text messages. He was basically implying, because whenever he would open up about this story, I told him about my 9 month ex. I told him, I said, so yeah, man, I ended up breaking up with this girl I knew for 9 months because of something that like, I broke up with this girl because of something that I didn't allow, basically. And I told him that only ended up, when I saw her again, only made me miss her more again. So he was basically trying to tell me that I need to keep my values higher in a situation like that. And I totally get what he means, because, before I would think, oh my gosh, like, she did all this bad stuff to me. She said F you on call. This thing is so stupid. And then after I saw her that day at that restaurant, I was like, oh my gosh, I miss her so much. I gotta go surprise her at work. I kind of broke that value I had of what I thought a couple days before. A couple days before that, I would have not had surprised her at work. So I definitely broke my value like that. But this guy was telling me this whole story while I'm trying to do self checkout. He's patiently waiting there and, like, just wanting to actually talk back to me while I'm, like, trying to help out these customers. And he's telling me, it's like people can switch up on you any minute. He's really just you out there in the world. We were just really going deep into our stories. And, like, he was like, yeah, man, like, in this world, people a lot of times people think it's reality versus reality, but it's actually perception versus reality. He said other people could have thought that was some police officer breaking into someone's house, but perception would be further deep into the story, being that that police officer actually knew that girl, and that, you know he found out she was cheating on him. So, I mean, who knows if that was his house or not, or her house? I don't even know the full story. Perception over, you know, reality. And I kind of took that and applied it to my story. I said, you know what? I was thinking, I was like, I kind of messed up, because I feel like a lot of times I would see the girl I was with and think, okay, I did this. Why didn't she do this? You know? But at the same time, I think she didn't. I think at the same time, I felt like she didn't listen to my perception as much, and I feel like I didn't listen to her perception as much. I think it was just kind of reality. And I think I took that and I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense as to why my relationship was kind of going wrong. And we just kept talking. And I mean, this guy had a whole bunch of stories, man, all this stuff. It's like, wow. It's like, you sound strong. He's like, yeah, it's been tough going through this stuff. Um, so mine's just been like 30 minutes. My coworkers think I'm talking to some friend, not some stranger. This dude maybe lives like 26. And he tells me, he's like, it's gonna be all right, man. He's like, you're gonna be all right. He's like, you're stuck in a love stage, man. He's like, man, I used to walk, like, around in the cities and stuff, and, like, whenever I would get, so attached to some girl and thinking, oh, there's not gonna be anybody better. He was like, I would walk around and see, like, the baddest baddies around, man. He was like, oh shit, there's more. So he was kind of just really reassuring me that, like, yo, everything's gonna be good. A random stranger that came up to me, why me, and told me all this. Guys, I listened to his whole story and I was intrigued. He was like, you know what? He's like, I would tell stories like this to other people, and other people wouldn't want to hear it. But it was like you. He's like, you actually want to hear it. He's like, you're like eager for more. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I actually need to hear this. I thanked him for giving me those whole speech and everything. Just how at the same time I'm going through this, he's going through his wife of 5 years cheating on him. He just came up to talk to me about it and just tell me, hey man, you're gonna be okay. Guys, it was fucking crazy. I was tweaking out my car. I told my dad. I told my friend. Guys, this is God. I I started putting pieces together in the car on the way home. I said, you know what? I said, God put those dreams in my head. God put the dream, and God put the reality a couple days later, right in front of my face. So let me know this is what's gonna happen sometimes in relationships. You're gonna see shit that you're not gonna like, and you need to know how to be stronger. God said, I'm not gonna hurt Dylan. I'm gonna influence him to be stronger. So He made me have dreams, and He put this date right in front of my eyes, right in front of my eye sockets, to let me know that shit is real. All right, and basically like you're gonna have tough times in a relationship, and you're gonna meet tough people. You know what I'm saying? Kind of, prep me for what's coming because it was my first long-term relationship. So He really put that date right in front of my eyes. And then a day later, He said, you know what? I'm gonna bring some guy, some stranger, to Dylan, just give him some tips to relate, to give some tips. You know, guys, this all happened in a span of like a week. I had the dreams. A couple days later, saw at the restaurant. Next day later, the guy comes up and talks to me. Guys, this is the guy. Okay. As I said before, I'm not even super religious, but this is God. When I was talking to my dad about this story, my dad goes, "Yeah, God often comes in the form of people." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." I mean, this guy didn't even know me, a stranger, came up talking to me. Hey, how old are you? Hey, you ever had a girlfriend before? Started ranting, man. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that it was okay. I needed to hear that somebody was going through some of the same shit I was. Because whenever I would text my friends and stuff, it didn't, they weren't going through the same shit as me at that time. That's how I know it's God. I still miss my ex that I was with. I still love a side of her, but I definitely do still stand on my value of what I said on why I broke up. Because it got to a point where I told the guy while I was working, I was like, it got to a point where I just would have rather been by myself. I was what you would call it, like, I don't know, but I just would rather be by myself. Like, that's how much, like, that definitely says something right there. That was how much, bad shit was happening. But yeah, I just wanted to share this story, man. I mean, very so clearly God. As soon as I gathered all those thoughts together that happened tonight, I was like, this is so God. Like, I'm definitely gonna make a video about this. So yeah, guys, God is real. I love y'all. If y'all watch this video, thanks for watching. I love y'all. See ya. Have a good day. God's real. God loves you.